There's a common misconception out there that the fancier the PowerPoint, the more effective it is. 100% not true. In my 2 decades of coaching, I have seen slide decks that are visually stunning, but not effective. And in contrast, I've seen decks that are relatively simple in their design, but incredibly engaging and effective. So in this video, we're going to address some of the basics of building a solid PowerPoint that accomplishes exactly what it needs to with zero distractions. You will hear me say this a lot. Keep it simple. When it comes to your PowerPoint backgrounds, high contrast works the best, so that the lettering you place over the background pops in a way that is unmistakable. A good rule of thumb, try to stick to backgrounds that allow either white, charcoal, dark blue, or black lettering to show up clearly and crisply. And if there's any doubt in your mind about the amount of contrast between your background and your lettering, try something else. Also, it's important to keep in mind what the lighting will be like in the room during your presentation, because white backgrounds and really dark rooms tend to feel a little bit hard on the eyes. When in doubt, stick with a gray or even lighter charcoal background, as they work really well in either a dark or a well-lit room. If I had a nickel for every time I've heard a presenter say to a room of people,
"So I know you can't read this, but just, go with me here."
No, you have a big enough job as a presenter getting your information across to your audience. The last thing you want is for them to be straining their eyes trying to read the words on your slide. So, another rule of thumb, when creating a deck that will be presented in person, try to keep your fonts simple and crisp with a point size of no less than 40. Now, you might be thinking, 40? What? But I won't be able to fit as many bullet points on my slide if I do that. Exactly. Not only do you want your words to be easy to read, but you want your verbiage to be sparse so that you don't end up leaning so hard on your slides that your audience ends up perceiving you as a lazy, unprepared presenter. So as much as you want to try to cram as much as possible onto a slide, fight the urge. Your audience will thank you. So on every slide that contains verbiage, you're going to want the look and layout of it to clearly support your overall message. For instance, try using all caps for each of your slide titles, as this will clearly distinguish your titles from other verbiage on your slide. Then, when you're needing to draw attention to certain words or sections of verbiage, do so by bolding, italicizing, underlining, or even changing the colors of the letters, like this. If you stick to this rule of thumb, there should never, ever be a need to use more than one font type on a slide or within a given slide deck. Changing up the fonts will end up making your slide decks look messy and distracting, and that is not at all helpful. So often I come across slide decks where it's quite clear the creator of the deck incorporated charts or graphs that were just like scanned into the computer and then thrown onto a slide. And 9 times out of 10, these charts and graphs are next to impossible to read, even from a relatively short distance away. So whenever possible, stay away from utilizing charts and graphs of any kind that were created to be read on a computer screen or in hard copy form. Instead, take the time to recreate a simple form of the chart or the graph within the PowerPoint software itself, or at the very least, recreate it somewhere else using a point size no smaller than 40. If you stick to these rules of thumb when building out your PowerPoint decks, you are on your way to delivering presentations that hit your mark every single time.